The secret to protecting yourself as a beautiful woman is protecting your beauty. Understanding what an important asset your beauty actually is in you creating the life that you dream of and that you truly deserve. Society is very, very interested in trying to tell you how much beauty doesn't matter and brains matter more. But think about this for a minute. Why is society so obsessed with telling you that beauty doesn't matter and that beauty has no power? Why are they actively trying to strip beauty of the power that it has if it doesn't hold any power? That is contradictory. People will only ever try to undermine something that holds power. That's why women historically have been treated less than. It's because when you see power in something, you try to suppress it. That's also why society today, in this day and age where we're all supposedly considered equal, that's when society is very caught up in this beauty doesn't matter thinking. And they're trying to project this onto every single person, especially women. Women are much prettier without makeup. Women don't need to doll themselves up that much. Why are you so obsessed with your looks? Society is actually so caught up in the fact that beauty supposedly doesn't matter, that they've painted a picture of the fact that you cannot be a smart person if you are beautiful. They've tried to paint this picture that brains matter more than beauty and you can't really be smart if you're also very gorgeous, to keep women from actually tuning into some of the things that fall very, very natural to women. That is also why we see a lot of women against each other. A lot of women putting other women down for actually putting effort into themselves. Women putting mothers down for wanting 5 minutes to themselves just to do their hair. Women putting other women down for getting the treatments that they want. Society paints a picture of beauty and brains being mutually exclusive. They can't coexist. And there's a very, very good reason for doing that. As I said before, why would society ever focus so much on talking about how looks don't matter if they don't? And we're not talking about being Victoria's Secret model beautiful, like only following one specific beauty standard. But think about it like this. We've all had a friend or seen a movie with some girl who has a toxic boyfriend who tells her that she's not all that and she's nothing without him, yada, 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 all that stuff that we know isn't true. The only reason a guy would ever tell a woman that she's nothing without him is if he feels insecure in her presence, if there's something about her that makes him feel inadequate. So now he has to project his insecurities onto her in order for him to numb the inner work that he truly has to do. Essentially, that is exactly what society is doing when they tell beautiful women that put effort into themselves, that dress up every day, that do their makeup, or do whatever it is they do to make themselves beautiful. When they tell them beauty doesn't matter, why are you so focused on beauty? You would be nothing without your beauty. What if no one was here? Would you care that much about putting makeup on? The only reason they come up with this whole script is because there's something within them they refuse to work on, something that they lose from you making an effort with yourself that they do not want to lose. The same way that the toxic boyfriend doesn't want to lose the company of the girl. So his way of keeping her around is telling her that she can't get anything better. The same way society tries to project their insecurities onto women or anyone who does make an effort with themselves. Because they realize that this person would actually be better off on their own. They would actually be better off if they didn't stoop down to the dogmas and the identities that society has been trying to persuade them to stoop by. The subconscious of society knows that if a woman realizes her worth, that will ultimately actually also lead to her becoming smarter in the long run. Because when a woman starts making an effort with herself, she breaks free from her being tethered to the idea that she needs to be moral. This is an ideal that society has been trying to paint about women for many, many years to actually keep them in control. Because if a woman stoops down from the pedestal that she's built for herself, where she puts immense effort into herself, her looks, and actually also her intelligence, it is easier for those that don't deserve to be in her company to gain access to her. And that way, people around her don't feel as threatened by her existence, by her power. This is why when it comes to you protecting yourself as a beautiful woman, it is essential that you protect your beauty. And when someone tells you, oh, you should wear less makeup, you should do less this and that, oh, you're a bit too extra. In many cases, unless it's your long-term partner who absolutely values you and adores you and gives you everything that you want and you need, they tell it to you because they truly love you. In most cases, people telling you that you should do less is because they're not interested in doing more, and they realize that in order for them to be able to be around you, they need to level up, and they do not want to level up. They do not want to make more of an effort. So what they do instead is that they tell you that brains matter more than beauty and that you need to be a good moral woman. That way you think, oh, I need to be a good moral woman. I need to change myself. This is very, very subconscious for women because we're raised in a society where boys will be boys, and a boy just running around making loud noises and wreaking havoc as a child, that is seen as completely normal, while a girl doing the same would be seen as impolite, indecent, unladylike. And women are praised more for being the soft little women that sit by their desks and draw pictures of their fairy tale dreams. And I'm not saying that doing either or is wrong, because there's absolutely space for every type of expression. But when women are raised to be docile, they're also more malleable. They also want to act right. They want to do what is good and moral to show society that they are a nice woman who was raised right. What does this have to do with beauty? Well, society feeds women confusion from the day we're born to make us indecisive, to make us confused. They tell us that beauty doesn't matter, but then we see pictures of beautiful women, anti-aging commercial. We're asked to be a good girl. We're told that women can do whatever they want. They can achieve anything they want. They're the same as men. There's no differences whatsoever. And at the same time, we're told that when we have our period, it's not valid. We can't take a day at home to tend to our body's natural cycle, and that us acting up because we literally have hormones that change. That is us being stamped as someone who couldn't be equal. Well, you have the equal opportunities, but you know what? Some women just don't choose it like that. We're fed so many signals from left and right to confuse us, to make us indecisive about what we truly want, to actually make us think that we need to be more of a woman. We need to prove our womanhood. Need to show that we can do it all, everything that men does, and also tune into our own feminine selves at the same time while we take care of a house and children and have a job and take care of half the mortgage. This is what we see from we're born, from we're little girls watching our parents. I definitely saw it in my mom's generation, this whole trying to do it all. We're fed this indecisiveness from society for a reason, because indecisive women are easier to manipulate. And a woman who is indecisive, who doesn't know what she wants, who doesn't know that she's free to do whatever it is she wants, that woman will end up making poor choices with the people she's around because she just wants to fulfill some imaginary delusional illusion of a role that is not even possible to fulfill, that she's been sold from the day that she was born and she started being able to interpret the world. And what does this have to do with beauty, you might ask? Everything. Because as soon as a woman chooses a path that isn't focused on the impossible role she has to fulfill for society, and she chooses elevating herself and her looks, then she's deemed immoral. And then people will tell you that you have to settle for that. When you start tuning in to a very natural part of the feminine, which is creativity and expressing yourself and adorning yourself, wearing beautiful clothes, wearing makeup, doing something more to your appearance, suddenly society will start telling you that, well, this is what you're going to have to settle for, your beauty. They're going to tell you that this is everything you can get. If you focus on your beauty, that means that you can't get anything more. That means you have chosen the immoral, unsmart path. And any little alarm bell inside a woman who's grown up in a way where people tell her that women need to behave a certain way to be accepted, she's going to feel threatened. She's going to feel scared, because that means that she's not going to be accepted by the tribe, by society. And that is usually one of the easiest ways to get women to stoop down from their pedestal and give up the power that they're actually building for themselves. When women and girls naturally tune in to their creative side, their expressive side, their makeup obsessed side, that is something we do because we understand the power that it gives us. There's a reason why when you do your makeup and you walk outside the door, you feel elevated. And when you're having a really, really bad day where it's raining, you just making your outfit look really nice and you doing your makeup, wearing some nice jewelry, getting your nails done, that can elevate you. It's because it is power and it is frequency. And when women tap into this power and frequency, they elevate themselves because suddenly they're not chasing the validation of trying to appear smart. This does not mean that they are not smart. Society wants to make women come off as if they're not smart if they like makeup and beauty, because they understand that it's powerful. When you are walking up the mountain of self-growth, you're climbing this mountain of becoming a better version of yourself, a version of yourself that can achieve everything, anything, and who's never going to settle for less. You're going to have to leave the people down at the bottom of the mountain behind. And you know who's at the bottom of the mountain? Society. People that say that brains matter more than beauty. Because brains matter. None of us would be here watching, making this YouTube video if we didn't have a brain. So the argument is redundant. It's simply something society is trying to tell you, screaming at you from the bottom of this mountain, from the foot of the mountain, to get you to keep climbing. Because they know when you get to the top of that mountain, they can no longer reach you, aka society can no longer control you. And I know that you guys know for a fact that when you level up, your mentality, your appearance usually follows suit pretty quickly, because you can never step into a better version of yourself mentally without changing something about yourself physically. And that doesn't mean that you completely make a complete 180 and change everything about yourself. Your self-growth and the self-work that you put into yourself is naturally going to be expressed in the way that you carry yourself. When you become a bigger, a better, more abundant woman, human being, it will be expressed in the way that you are, in your being. And that is power. That is the power of transformation. It's the same power of transformation that can make a womb transform a tiny seed into a whole human child. And that is the core of feminine energy. It is the transformation of stepping into a higher you, to a better you, to a more expressive and more powerful you. That is why the people at the foot of the mountain, aka society, and the men especially that tell you that you shouldn't care so much about beauty and beauty doesn't matter. That's why they tell you that, because they know the transformative powers of leaning into your feminine energy, caring about how you show up into the world and how the effort that you give yourself and you actually recycle into yourself instead of giving it to others makes you exponentially better. Because the thing is, women are naturally very nurturing. Of course, it makes very good biological sense. We're supposed to be nurturing a little baby. Again, with this whole moral, you need to do what is right and not what is good for you. And in today's society, what they've whipped up is this whole speech about how women and men are absolutely equal. There's nothing that differentiates us. But by the way, we still need women to care for their man. But because we're equal, teehee, you also need to care for the bills and the house. And then when you don't come home and serve dinner for your man after having worked all day, then he's the victim. And because you've been raised to believe that you need to be moral above anything else, you're gonna try to fulfill this impossible role that is trying to paint a picture of equality that 50-50 is all good and dandy. While in reality, everyone around you is playing the victim to get you to do more instead of you putting effort into yourself. They want you to do more for them. In today's society, it is much more common for a lot of women to have a baby daddy and to be a baby mama. And a lot of men actually use this to keep a lot of women from leveling up and taking the power that they deserve and transforming it into even more power. They see the potential, they see the power that a woman holds, and it is threatening. And what they do to make sure that she doesn't continue, aka doesn't threaten them, their mentality is that they love bomb this woman. They give her someone to care for to make it seem like he cares for her. Because a lot of the time when women care for other people, they think that means that other people care for them. But it's not true. They think them doing the good moral thing and taking care of a man is them getting love back. But in reality, it is just them using their transformative quality on someone else and not themselves. When you've not yet made it to the top of your self-growth mountain, you are still at risk of being depleted. Because when you give from a point where you don't have everything that you truly want for yourself yet, the protection and the abundance that you need, then essentially you're going to be depleting yourself when you give to others. That's why society is very caught up in this whole idea about women needing to be moral and women shouldn't be obsessed with beauty, and the baby daddies trying to love bomb a woman until she becomes a baby mama, because they know that if they play the victim, play the one who needs to be taken care of and be nurtured, then the women are more likely to start nurturing them, not themselves, but other people. And that distracts them from actually focusing on the growth that they need to make with themselves. This is why it's very, very dangerous for a woman who hasn't put in the effort into leveling herself up yet to get into a relationship. This is why it's actually very, very important for women to go through a period of being alone and essentially dating themselves and taking care of their own needs, making sure that they create that sense of self-validation that you absolutely need. Because if not, you're going to think that the validation you're going to need is going to come from you taking care of someone else. And people are going to sniff out that you're willing to do anything. So they're going to play bigger victims. They're going to make you do even more and even more and even more until you have nothing. That's how a lot of women in my mom's generation have ended up being absolutely burnt out, have ended up doing way more than they absolutely need to do because they were afraid that they weren't going to be able to live up to the role that society has set for them. They think that they need to pay back to society before they even have their own cake and eat it. Society really likes the fact that women are going to want to pay back before they actually get something for themselves, because in the long run, they're not going to be able to have the energy to do anything for themselves because they've been doing all the work for everyone else. And now they don't have the energy to do anything for themselves. They had the dream, but they couldn't turn that dream into reality because they weren't prioritizing themselves. They were prioritizing this fantasy that they thought they were getting. Essentially, when you're moving up the mountain of beautiful women self-growth, this is when you think, oh, well, I want everyone else to also feel good. I want everyone else to also grow and become better and more beautiful. Let me go and take some people with me from down here at the foot of the mountain. Some of the people that are screaming at me that I shouldn't do that much. I can tell that they're hurting inside. I want them to be better. I don't want you to feel like that. Let me take you with me. And you know what? The trip up the mountain is going to be like 4 times, 100 times harder, because now you have some people hanging on to you saying, oh, you're sure it's going to be easy? Oh, you're sure this is the right move? Oh yeah, you're just a pretty woman, ha ha ha. Because these people were screaming from the bottom of the mountain at you, beauty doesn't matter, beauty this, beauty that, because they have self-validation issues that they're not ready to tackle yet. And they're hoping that you come down and you validate them, because that it reinforces their belief system. And when you go down there and you reinforce their belief system, they're not going to snap out of it. They're not going to learn anything new. That's literally like a child screaming at the grocery store that they want an ice cream. And they scream and they scream and they scream. And then the mom gives them an ice cream. They're not going to learn to behave. They're not going to learn to work for themselves. They're just going to scream some more because they learn that that gives them what they need. That's what society and men does towards beautiful women. This is also why women that are absolutely beautiful and gorgeous cannot date broke guys. And this is why the whole, well, broke guys deserve love too, is literally just a manifestation of the men down here at the bottom of the hill screaming at the beautiful woman who's doing better, who's doing more, telling her, oh, well, I feel bad about myself. Please come help me. And then you come down there and you're like, oh, I want to help you. What can I do? And they're like, gotcha. You need to give me love. Do this for me. If we could just do 50-50, then I wouldn't feel so bad. And then you're like, I want to make you happy too. I'm going to do everything I can. They're not going to change. They're not going to give you princess treatment. They're not going to give you the whole world. They're not going to treat you the way that you deserve to be treated as a beautiful woman, because you're going to be putting your energy into lifting them up. You think you're lifting them up, but in reality, you're just revalidating their situation so that they don't have to change any of their behavior. You're actually giving them more validation for their alibi. Like, you're supporting their alibi. If them acting that insufferable was a court case, you going down there and telling, don't worry, I'll help you, our beauty don't matter that much, that is literally you standing up in court and saying, there's a reason this guy acts up this way. I'm ready to stand by this alibi. You're feeding his delusion, which is why beautiful women cannot hang around broke men. Beautiful women have to remove themselves from broke environment, even broke people and friends. And we're not just talking broke financially, because there's a big difference between being poor and being broke. You can be a broke person and have a rich mindset and know how to get your money back like that. If you have a broke mindset, when you're around people that feed into this victim mentality of trying to get validation, and you go down from you going up the mountain, eventually you're going to end up becoming the victim yourself. And you're going to end up actually developing a victim complex, while in reality, it was your duty to stay on your path towards going to the goal, like going to the top of the mountain. That was the path that you had to go on. But you keep going back down and back down to trying to help people because they scream at you, oh, beauty doesn't matter that much. Are you sure you're smart? You go back down to validate whatever they're saying. Oh, I am smart. Let me show you how I'm smart. Let me show you how much I can. I'm smart. I'm smart. And they're like, oh yeah, you're smart? Do this then. And the men in society are rubbing their hands together with a smug smile on their face or in their brain, because they know that if you're told enough that you're not smart for being beautiful, you will literally lower yourself from all the progress that you've made with yourself. You'll start doubting your journey, and then you'll become indecisive again, and you'll start making poor decisions. Poor decisions with your partners, poor decisions with your future. You'll end up actually building a lot of resentment because you're not doing what you truly want to do. And in the end, you're the one who might end up becoming like the moms that tell their daughter that they shouldn't do that much. I could never do what you're doing, because deep down, they actually want to do what their daughters are doing, but they just didn't have the gut, or they were actually too busy trying to people please, thinking that it was moral. In society today, a lot of people, they cover up their people pleasing tendencies by making it some type of moral game of trying to be a good person. And this is also why men, and probably some men in this comment section, are gonna tell me, well, what's so wrong with women working for themselves and getting the lives that they want by themselves? Women are, but you don't like the fact that when a woman levels herself up, that means that she is no longer in your arena anymore. Only broke men will tell women what's so wrong about making a living for yourself and doing what you truly want. Only broke men will be calling women gold diggers. Only broke men will think that something like a trophy wife is a bad thing. Because a rich man, a man that is on par with the level of a beautiful woman's self-respect, self-understanding, and the guts she had to have in order for her to make it up the top of that mountain, a rich man will understand that dedication, and he will protect that dedication, and he will see that when a woman looks extremely beautiful, she looks taken care of, she puts effort into herself, that is her literally protecting herself. A smart and rich man, rich of heart, rich of money, but also rich of mind, a rich man will understand that a woman is doing that to protect herself. Because doing your makeup, making yourself look gorgeous, is a way of protecting yourself. It is a way of making it very, very clear that you are moving up the mountain. And it is a way of feeding off the bottom of the bottom that are trying to tell you that you're doing too much. Because you know what? You having your beauty, you leveling up your looks, you being a gorgeous woman who puts effort into herself every single day, it's gonna scare the truth out of those who do not want to work on themselves. Because when you become more authentic to yourself, aka become more authentic to the fact that you want more in life, aka you put more effort into yourself because you want to see effort from life, the people around you that don't want to do anything, they're going to start becoming verbal because they don't want to make an effort. When you become authentic to yourself, other people become authentic towards you. And authenticity in this case does not always mean something positive. It can mean the toxicity within themselves that they've been trying to keep calm, that boils over like a pot on high heat because suddenly they're trying to numb that part of them within themselves that wants more. They tell you, and that's when you know you're actually truly on your way to getting what you truly want in your life. When people start telling you that you're doing too much, when people start telling you that you're mean, you're immoral, you're arrogant, you're self-centered, because none of these people could ever fathom putting the effort that you put into yourself into themselves. So it seems foreign. And when it seems foreign, it seems like something that is scary. Everything that we fear as human beings is the unknown. That is why when they see you take a leap of faith into the unknown and actually embracing your beauty, embracing the opportunities that come along with you making an effort for yourself, that's when they try to talk you down because it's a threat to them. That's why it's actually very, very powerful to become more conscious of the way that you carry yourself, the way that you do your makeup, the way that you dress, because it's going to be a very, very easy way to repel people that absolutely do not deserve your attention and to figure out what people are just trying to tear you down. Because when they pick on your looks, you know that they do not have the self-assuredness that you need in the company around you. This is why when you become more beautiful, suddenly you actually start feeling that there are more negative people around you. It's not because these people weren't negative before. It's because you weren't a threat. You weren't doing more than them. You weren't getting better. They were still negative people, but it hadn't been triggered within them. They hadn't let themselves get triggered by your existence. So it's actually very powerful for women to tune into their beauty, which is also why they have to protect it at all costs. Which is why when people say brains matter more than beauty, that's when you know that this person is just speaking from some insecurity that they're not ready to address within. So they try to verbalize to create a comfort zone for themselves. This is why a lot of people in your life are not going to be good for you when you start becoming a more beautiful woman, because you being in close proximity to them, you being your new self, your better self, is literally you overstepping a threshold within their mindset, which is why the closer you are to someone, the more toxic they will be towards you when you start leveling up, because they realize that whatever it is you're doing, the life that you're getting, the people you're hanging around, the situations and opportunity, they could do it too. This is why it's very important to remove yourself. This is why for beautiful women, it's very important that they spend time by themselves so that they can fuel the validation that they have for themselves, climb and climb and climb that mountain, and not just take off their makeup because someone told them that makeup doesn't matter as much as being smart. Because a smart woman understands that when people judge her by the outside, she can judge them by the fact that they judge her for her outside. Because if you truly see the beauty in someone, no matter what, you should also be able to see the intelligence within someone who is very, very beautiful. So when people judge you by your looks, when people judge you by the cover, that's actually a positive thing, because that means that they've blown their cover. And a lot of people don't realize that, which is why it's very, very powerful to be beautiful, which is why it's also very, very important to protect yourself, to keep a distance from those who skin crawl because you're going to pour into yourself, make yourself a better version of yourself. You're going to create more instead of depleting yourself by validating them. If you're a beautiful woman, you need to protect your beauty because your beauty protects you.